understand there has been a lack of media for Conor and Cowboy. There's even been a lack of the playfulness and entertainment side that Conor brings to the table. Fine. We see that, we observe that, we understand that. A deeper question would be, how does that affect the fight? Now, here would be the schools of thought, okay? Conor is said to be a master of mental warfare. I could name for you one time in Conor's career where that is true. He did get into the head of Jose Aldo. For the most part, to get into a fighter's head is just something nice to say, and many people will relate to it because they, as human beings, had some kid in the playground get in their head. Some kid in school that they were scared of, intimidated, the guy said something and it backed him down. For reality, for guys who go out and train this every day and compete in this for a living, that's really not a thing, right? A guy on a playground that maybe threatened one of you, that he's going to punch you in the nose and break your nose. That was probably a really scary thing to say. If you tell a cage fighter, I'm going to punch you in your nose, he's kind of going to go, well, yeah, that's kind of within the rules here. I'm going to try to punch you in your nose. Did I need to say that? It's one of those things where getting in a guy's head might be a fun analysis, but it's also an ignorant and even lazy analysis. Conor is fun. Conor's antics are fun. They're entertaining. At times they're baffling. But they are not an effective, meaningful ends to the fight. And making believe you could get into a veteran like Cowboy Cerrone's head, for me, in my opinion, is a little bit of a stretch. Cowboy's well aware of what the unified rules say, and he's well aware what Conor is allowed to do and has a goal of doing to him. Stating it into a microphone or in front of a camera is just not really gonna get a guy like Donald up and going. But there is how does it affect the fight? There's another byproduct of doing a whole bunch of media, aside from the time factor and the commitment, and over time, the nuisance of it. Aside from all of that, there's a very realness to whatever we say as human beings, we tend to believe. We do tend to believe over time. Anybody that you work with that is very good at goal setting, the first thing they're going to tell you with a goal, write your goals down. They're going to have you write them down because now it just became a little bit more real. Then if you get a guy that really understands goals, he's going to have you take that piece of paper and tape it on your mirror. The same mirror that you brush your teeth in and comb your hair in every single morning. Because he knows you're going to look at it, he knows you're going to read your goals. You're going to remind yourself of your goals. Then you're going to begin to say them out loud. And the final step is you say them to somebody else. That is the final step in goal setting before then you set things into motion and make them become true. You put a pressure on yourself. You say it out loud. You bring it into the universe, as some guys like to call it. But the bottom line is you write it down, you post it, you read it, and then you say it to somebody else. Well, what happens when you do a lot of media is you are now skipping the line and you're just saying it to somebody else. You're all the way at the final step of the goal process, and now it does start to become real. You go out and do media, even if it started as hype, and you say, I'm going to stop this guy within 5 minutes, you start to do the right things to plan those finishing techniques. Or you come out and you start saying, I'm the hardest working guy in the whole sport. You will find yourself running a little bit harder and showing up to the gym just a little bit earlier. And you'll find yourself starting to do the things to make the initial statement of I'm the hardest working guy in the sport to become true. I don't love when people say the universe and laws of attraction. I don't love that, but I don't love it because it was a commercial entity created in around 2007 through a book called Laws of Attraction. So that's one of the reasons I don't love it. But to make believe that the laws of attraction aren't a very real thing and there is ways to start to turn ideas into reality. Sure there are. And one of the things you do with the media is you go to step 5 of the goal setting process. You are now saying it out loud to somebody else. You're now putting a pressure on yourself. You'll see athletes do just the opposite. You'll see an athlete go in the media as a way of reducing his level of stress, start talking about how good his opponent is, or, well, it's really not that good of a matchup for me. He starts being really, really honest. And it's not as compelling. And it kind of hurts the storyline from a business and promotional standpoint, but the athlete just did something for himself, which is he just got this burden off his chest. I am very worried about this guy's left hand. Once I tell the world I'm worried about his left hand, now I don't worry about it quite as much. I now no longer have the secret. That secret had power over me. It is no longer a secret, and therefore it has less power over me. Okay. But this is one of the byproducts that happen through a guy that does a lot of media. So I do begin to wonder. A guy like Conor, who is so positive, so overwhelmingly positive, never an issue in the media, never going to have a hard fight, nobody that's going to be able to lay a hand on him, nobody that he can't put to sleep. When you do that over and over, and then you go look at his career and you see him starting to bring some of those thoughts into fruition, it does make me wonder for a guy like him who isn't now stating those thoughts, who isn't able to relieve some of his stress by putting things out there into the world, getting a little bit of a smile, getting a reaction from people, and getting himself in that frame of mind that he's accustomed. I never like when something's different. And I don't know that we need to make a whole too much out of the media here, guys, but in all fairness, there is something real about a guy doing something different, right? Definition of insanity, doing something over and over and again and expecting a different result. Well, what about when it's not broke? What are you trying to fix? Why are you changing something? And it's not as though Conor hasn't locked himself down and gone into these, camps before. It's not like he hasn't done that, but some of his finer work and some of his finer moments, including those of defeat. I mean, one of Conor's best outings ever in sports competition was the 30 minutes he did with Floyd. And even though he lost that fight, if there was ever a time when you were going to stand back and go, oh my goodness, this guy's good, this guy's special, this guy's courageous, this guy is willing to take huge risks, this guy is really a unique talent and human being and competitor, it was that night. Some of your greatest victories come in defeat. So I just offer for you the things that he did to prepare for Floyd, and he's never had a media cycle like that, but I would argue in many ways he's also never competed that well. He really has. If you look at the way they took all of his greatest weapons away, they then changed the round system, they changed the rules, upside down and backwards, and he went out there and kicked ass for the better part of 30 minutes. I think you could at least agree with me as far as a competitor that was up against it but dealt with it anyway. Conor's one of these guys. Now, Cowboy, it appears to be right in Cowboy's wheelhouse. Cowboy's more than happy to come and talk to all of you guys and give the media an opportunity when they have, but he would also prefer if the media never asked him to. He's got friends in the media. If they lean on him, Cowboy's a good friend, he'll go do it. But if he had his way, you'd never call him and make that ask in the first place. That makes sense to he's right in his wheelhouse. This is what he wants to do. As far as the business end of it, look, things are going to be just fine. Sometimes Conor can go out there and do some of the heavy lifting. In this case, he's not doing. Okay, great. Then ESPN will go do it. Dana White will go do it. There's plenty of people that can tell the story. Oh, Chael's helping right now. There's plenty of people that can tell the story in place of the principal story actor if he doesn't want to do it. There's other ways this is going to be special. It's going to be big. But I do think the lack of media and the change of things is impactful to the fight. Huge impact? No, I wouldn't go that far. Are we splitting hairs? Yeah, we're closer to splitting hairs than we are to being having a meaningful effect on it. But impactful nonetheless? You bet.